SciSpace, if you have heard before, then SciSpace is a research platform. We are fully AI native research platform which uses AI in various stages of the workflow to help get the work done, right, at various stages. So SciSpace, as you see, and what Deepak also announced, right, we recently launched an AI agent which will automate your everyday research tasks, right? And this is something that we'll cover in the later half of this session. But first, I'll take you through various tools that SciSpace hosts, which are powered by AI to get you various tasks done, right? So we'll be primarily covering like three tools today. One is AI Writer, which uses AI to help you write documents, paraphrase them, manage your citations in a document. Second is chat with PDF. So this tool comes in handy when you want to chat with the research paper, gain understanding of the paper, summarize what is there in the paper, or even not just a single paper, but multiple papers. And then the most used tool, which is literature review, right? So every day, not just every day, but like at various stages in the research journey, we spend a lot of time discovering what literature is out there and discovering papers and reading through them, right? So literature review is a very handful tool to get to that, right? So we'll start with first looking at what the literature review tool is. So for all of these three tools, I'll spend a little bit of time helping you understand what is the power of each one of these tools. And then we'll move to the agent and look extensively at the research agent, right? So traditionally, what we have been doing, or the research community has been doing, is going to various databases, Google Scholar, PubMed, Archive, and trying to find out various papers for a particular topic, right? And a lot of time we have mastered the skill of, using Google Scholar, PubMed, or various databases, right? Each one has their own quirkiness where, for example, in Google Scholar, you have to type in a certain keyword, then only you will receive that paper. If you miss out on that keyword, you will miss out on like discovering that paper, right? And we spend hours and hours trying to find various papers related to a particular topic, right? So SciSpace simplifies that whole process of doing the literature search and the review, where you don't have to give the input in a specific format, right? You can just type in your query just like you how you ask a natural question to anybody, right? So just using a natural question, SciSpace is able to generate various variations of the query that you have put in and search its corpus of 250 plus million papers. So SciSpace hosts a huge library of 250 plus million papers. That is why it is able to surface all the papers that are out there, right? So yeah, I have, for the sake of like saving time, what I have done is I have run some queries beforehand so that we don't wait for the result to get generated, right? And for this session, I'm going to consistently use one topic, which is how does nanoplastic impact the human health, right? And this is something which I have been researching on in the recent past, just not as a research, but as just a general information, right? Because health is something that I personally take very seriously, and this is something that I have been finding out day in, day out, right? So just for the sake of this session, like I'm going to use that topic, and in no way I am a researcher in this area, right? Okay. So so literature review has like three modes, right? Standard, high quality, and deep review. I'll just type in a query like impact of nanoplastics on human gut. So within seconds, right, it is able to surface like 100 papers for you, which are relevant to this query. And whatever question you are asked here, it provides a nice little summary of the top 5 relevant papers for this particular question. It is going to be citation backed as well. So at SciSpace, we have answers which are always citation backed as to which papers answer this question, so that we minimize the number of hallucinations that the AI does, right? So, and it is also easy for you to verify whether what is being mentioned here is it really present in this particular paper or not, right? So that is a very key differentiation of SciSpace, that everything is citation backed here. Okay. So yeah, so when I search with a particular question, I get an answer and also a list of papers, right? So whichever is the most relevant paper to my question is what shows up at the top with all of its metadata, right? And we have a nice little table here which will organize all of these papers for you. And then it will also have various columns. Now, if I don't want to read through this full paper, to understand whether I really want to know deeply out of this paper or not, is where this insights column comes into the picture, right? So insights will tell you like what is actually present in this paper regarding this the question that you have asked, right? So based on the insight, you can quickly know like what is being discussed in this paper, right? And if you're really interested, then you can more deep dive into this paper, right? Even if like beyond insight, right, you want to compare what is being generated in what is there in all of these papers, right, you can use these various columns and you can generate another column, right? So let's say I want to look at what is the conclusion in each one of these papers, right? So I can quickly add a conclusions column here and it will surface me what is the conclusion in this paper. So in 5 little bullet points it will tell me what are the conclusions in this paper. Similarly it will do for the second paper, the third paper, and all the 100 papers as you go, right? So it saves a lot of time going through like multiple papers regarding a topic, right, that you are interested in. Okay, and we also have various filters, right? So let's say you are looking only for papers which where the PDF is available. You can click on this. You'll get papers on where only the PDF is available. These are the open access papers. And if you're only interested in journals or conferences, which are top tier, right? You can click this filter and it will show only papers from top journals and conferences, right? So that it saves you a lot of time figuring out like which papers you want to read or you don't want to read, right? So yeah, so that is what you get when you do a literature review, right? And this is common across standard, high quality, and deep review, right? But what's the real differentiation between standard, high quality, and deep review, right? So with standard, we saw that we got 100 papers and we got answer from the top 5 papers, right? When I quickly switch to high quality, right, it is going to use a better AI model to figure out which are the more relevant papers, right? So it is also going to give you like the 100 papers, but these are going to be more relevant to your question, right? So we use a superior AI model here as compared to what is there in standard. And we also answer you from, would give you the answer from the top 10 papers. So the answer is more enriched to your particular question, right? And all the other functionality is also enhanced, right? The conclusions and all what you get will be provided or powered through the more superior AI model, right? Yeah. Then the real and the most favorite uh, part of literature review is this mode called deep review, right? So deep review is quite special. So I'll just quickly switch to deep review and we'll know like how different it is when compared to standard high quality, right? So the first step that the AI does is when you give it a particular question, it is going to ask you clarifying questions. So let's say my query was not very specific, right? It was quite broad, nanoplastics on human gut, and it will try to then ask you some clarifying questions regarding this query so that it can accurately surface the papers that you're looking for, right? So for example, it is asking me like what specific aspects of nanoplastic I'm interested in. So for example, I'm really just interested in health effects or absorption mechanisms or micro alterations, right? So I can maybe let's say for the sake of this discussion, I'll say that I'm just interested in health effects. Second, like, are you looking to understand the potential health risks, develop mitigation strategies, or explore regulatory implications? I'm really just interested in potential health risks, right? So maybe somebody else who is from a policy background, maybe they are looking for like regulatory implications, right? And this is something that we usually don't forget to mention, right, in the query, like what we are and what is our intent, right? So deep review model actually does the job for you and it tries to get the intention behind the query or tries to make the query very specific for you. Then comes to contextual relevance. Should the research consider specific demographics or populations? So let's say I'll say that I am interested in adult population in Asia. So this would be my focus. Then the depth of detail with case studies or high level overview, I'm fine with high level overview for this. Okay, then I'll submit, right? Yeah. So then what the AI model is going to do is, right, it is going to take into consideration my original query and my clarifications, and it is going to form a detailed query based upon my clarification and start finding out papers for me, right? Uh, so this deep review model is going to take minutes, not just seconds like what standard and high quality did, but it is going to give you a very detailed report and a lot of papers, not just 100 papers relevant to your query, right? So as you see, it found like 230 top papers. Like it first got 700 papers. Out of that, it figured out that, okay, these are like the 230 top papers that it has found. And it is going to then, on the basis of these 700 papers, it is going to read the references that are present in these papers. Using those references, it is going to find and more papers, and then it is going to chain the citations that are there, right? So by looking at more and more number of papers, it is going to find out uh, various papers that are relevant to your query, right? Okay, now it has reached to 1400 papers, and out of that, it found like 398 papers. So I'll just skip this searching part and go to my previous search, which I did for a different topic. So for deep review, I have a query which I submitted as to which was a very broad query which says what causes cancer. So in this, if you see, it has produced a report from 273 highly relevant papers. It found 898 papers. Out of those, it used 273 highly relevant papers, and it formed a report for me with all of these details, right? So I can open up this report and go through this very detailed report. And as you see, even this report, which is quite detailed, has all the citations, right? So wherever this uh, statement is mentioned, like it is telling me like which papers which it has found are backing this particular statement, right? So you'll get a very detailed report when you run a deep review query, right? So yeah, this is one, and you also get the table which has now, instead of 108, 98 highly relevant papers, right? And you can again use the same column structure to analyze any of one of these papers, right? So this you know finishes my overview of what you can use literature review for. And then I'll jump into, like, let's say you have gathered like various papers, right? And you are interested in understanding any one of these papers, right? So for example, maybe like I found this paper about cancer, and then I want to know more about this paper, right? What I can do is I can play it as a podcast. I can click on play as a podcast, and it will generate audio for me, which will summarize the paper for me, and I can just listen on the go. If I don't want to read it, this helps me, like a lot of researchers prefer listening to a summary of the paper instead of reading through the papers. So this is quite useful when you want to go through a lot of papers in a quick amount of time. You can also play it as a podcast. It will generate a podcast for me, and it will start playing out for me, right? So I clicked on generate on podcast and started generating a podcast for me, right? Also, what I can do is I want to ask a specific
Welcome,
question.
folks. Today we are discussing the impact of lifestyle and environmental.
So it generated a podcast which is like 2 minutes long. I can listen to this podcast and understand what is being discussed here, or I can simply download this podcast as well. And maybe in my computer, I can store it on my mobile, I can store it and listen it later as well. So it's up to me as to how do I want to use it, right? Then the second way is that, let's say I want to ask specific question to this particular paper, right? Instead of analyzing all the papers that it has generated, I have a specific query that I want to understand for this particular paper. I can use this chat button, which opens up the Copilot window. Copilot is something that a tool which helps you understand a particular paper. If I want to go in depth for this paper, I can just ask a question. Let's say, for example, I want to ask like what data has been used in this papers, right? So it is going to read through the whole paper and tell me what are the various data sets that have been used in this paper, right? And if I have more question, I can ask it like whatever custom question that I have, right? So I can ask as simple as like, what are the conclusions from the paper, right? So even here we have like the standard mode and the high quality mode. When you switch to the high quality mode, it is going to give you a better answer as compared to the standard mode, right? So it's just a model difference. It is going to use a very powerful AI model and give you the answer using the high quality mode, right? So yeah, so using this, I can ask n number of questions on n number of papers, whatever I have discovered, right? Okay. Now, let's say you discovered like you went through these tables and you understood like what is there in each one of these papers, and you want to save these papers, right? So SciSpace also has a feature called SciSpace Library, right? So what you can do is you can go ahead and save this paper. I can bookmark it, and let's say I have a folder called microplastics paper, right? I'll just save this paper there, and it gets added to the microplastics folder for me. uh, I'll bookmark this and I'll add to the microplastics folder, right? It gets added there. So then what I can do is I can go to my library here and can go to microplastic papers. I can see that two papers have been added here, which are just bookmarked, right? So even here in the library, for any paper that you add, right, you will start seeing the same columns which we saw earlier as well, right? I can use TLDR, conclusions and results and research gap, right? So library is the place where you can start organizing the papers that you have discovered using your literature review, right? So all of those papers can come here and sit in your library. What it also does is you also have the ability to create folders, and if you want to organize your papers according to a particular topic, you can organize them in your folders, right? So various folders, each topic wise, or however you prefer it, you can create folders for them and bookmark your papers that you have discovered on SciSpace and start adding to them to your library. Then what we saw on literature review, right? So let's say I wanted to ask a question on a particular paper. I can do that here as well, where I can ask a question on this paper. And what it does is like it says that I'm chatting with this paper and ask a question here. What I can also do is I can select these two papers and I can chat with these two papers. Okay. So let's say like what are the, or I can say, are there any contradicting conclusions these papers? So it is going to use both these papers and then answer the questions, right? Similarly, what I can do is I can go ahead and chat with the entire folder as well. I can select this whole folder, chat with 10 files. It will be able to give me answer from these 10 files. So Copilot here in the library helps you get answers from various folders or even the whole library that you have, right? So you don't have to specify, okay, I want the answer from this particular paper or this particular folder or this four papers. It can help you answer questions from your whole library so that you don't have to figure out like which paper that you have saved earlier has answer to a particular question. Okay. In library, what we also have, so since at an university, right, uh, the research that you might be conducting could be a collaborative research, right? Let's say you and your colleague are working on a particular topic which requires input from both of you, and you are collaborating on a particular topic, right? So what you can do is in the SciSpace library, you can create a shared library as well. So in shared library, I have already pre-created a shared library here where I have created a folder called microplastics. I'll just go to this folder. And what I have done is I have uploaded 8 papers to this, and I have created a notebook here. We'll get to the notebook part later on. So, and I have shared this library with my another account. Uh, yeah, so invite people, and this is my another account with which I have shared this shared library, right? So I'll just move to that account here, and let's say I go to the library here. I can see that I have access to this one shared library, which contains the 8 files which I have uploaded and the notebook that it has created, right? So it is very easy to share whatever papers that you discover on SciSpace or whatever PDFs you have uploaded to your library with your colleagues, right? Using the shared library feature, so that both of you and your colleague, or even like there is no limit with the number of people that you can share the folder with, right? Or so everybody will have access to the same papers that you have access to, right? So when you are collaborating with somebody else, it becomes very easy to do. And all the people who have access to the same shared library can use all the features that are present, right? So they can also create their own columns here to understand what is present in these tables. So for example, I have added like 4 to 5 columns here, and on my other account I added only one column here, right? So I can go ahead and create another column here to gain my own understanding of what these papers are, right? Okay. Now, implicitly, what I have also told you during this explanation of shared library is that you can upload a PDF to your shared library, to your library as well, right? Not just the shared library, but your library as well. We saw one way is that you can bookmark the paper in your literature review. It will come and sit in your library. The second way is that I can upload my PDF to my library, and it will come and get added to my library in SciSpace, right? So I have uploaded these 8 PDFs here. I can use the upload PDF button and add more PDFs to this folder, right? So as soon as I upload a PDF to SciSpace, since there is no we don't ask any metadata information from the user when they're uploading the PDF, right? What the AI does, it goes and reads and scans through the whole PDF. It tries to find whatever metadata is present in the PDF, right? So usually the paper's PDF will contain all the data regarding who are the authors, when was it published, where was it published, what is the TUI, and we extract all of the information automatically and surfaces it here. So for example, when I uploaded this PDF, I have the title. What is the title of this PDF? What is the TUI? If I want to go to the source of this paper, who are the authors? When was it published? And where was it published? Right. So SciSpace AI makes it very easy to fetch the whole metadata information as well. And the same features that we saw with the SciSpace papers, right? You will have the same access to the same features even on the PDFs that you have uploaded, right? So you'll have the podcast that you can play, and you also have the chat on this particular PDF, right? Available for you. Then so we covered like 2 ways in which you can add things to your SciSpace library: bookmarking your papers, uploading your PDFs. Then there is a third very popular way, which is importing from Zotero, right? So what you can do is, let's say like the most popular reference management tool out there, which our researchers uses are Zotero, right? So if you have been using Zotero and you want to use the power of AI to gain more understanding of your papers or organize them on SciSpace, right? It is a very one-click process in which you can just click on Zotero, give it access to your Zotero specific folder, and what SciSpace can do is then create a folder here on in your library, which will then fetch all the papers that are present in your Zotero account, right? And will surface them here. So building your library is quite easy on SciSpace, right? So any one of these three ways you can start building the library on SciSpace and take advantage of all the features that are there in the SciSpace library. Okay, so that covers the library part, right? And we then I'll talk in more depth about the chat with PDF feature, right? So we spoke about the literature review, and we covered Copilot, or nothing but chat with PDF, a little bit when we wanted to chat with a particular paper, science paper, or we wanted to chat with multiple papers, right? So using the library, we could do that, right? Now there is a third way, which is a more extensive way in which you can chat with your particular paper, right? Especially a PDF that you have uploaded, right? So for example, I have uploaded this PDF. I can click on this PDF and it opens up the paper in a whole new window, right? So this is really the USP of Copilot, right? Where a lot of AI tools, what they do is that you can upload a PDF and you can ask a question, it will provide you the answer. But what SciSpace does is that it understands for a researcher, right? You just don't want to get the answer from a particular PDF, right? You want to build your own understanding of the paper, right? So to enable that, what you can do is you can start reading your paper here, and wherever you want to take help of the AI is when you can start, invoking the AI, right, for various purposes. So for example, what I can do is I can, when I'm reading this paper, I can simply ask it a question, right? So for example, I can ask it like, explain the abstract of this paper, and it is going to give me an answer. So, and the other way is that I can side by side keep on just reading the paper as well, right? So this two window interface makes it very easy to read a paper for a researcher, right? And also what uh, the answers which the Copilot also gives, right, which we saw in the literature review as well, are going to be citation backed. It is going to tell you exactly where is this particular statement coming from when you're saying explain abstract of this one. So in this case, it is going to come from the abstract. This is not a big deal, but anyway, for any other question as well, it is going to pinpoint exactly where is the answer coming from. So this makes it very easy to verify what the uh, Copilot is saying, right? Whether are you able to find out exactly where is the answer coming from, right? So this makes it very easy to verify and trust the system, right? Whatever it is saying. So let's say there is a very big PDF, like SciSpace can support a PDF which is up to like 1,000 pages, right? You can literally upload a book here and start asking question, and you know that in this book somewhere this particular statement is there which you have come across before and you're not able to find it now, right? Even for that, you can ask a question, let's say here, and it will give an answer which is going to be citation back and tell you exactly where is this coming from. Okay, so in that way, this interface makes it very easy, to read the paper and trust the system. So other than that, let's say, other than asking the question here, right? Let's say I come across a chart or a, image, which I'm having difficulty understanding, right? So it's very difficult to type in and ask it like, okay, for this particular image, like what does it really say, right? Explain me or simplify this, right? So giving a written prompt to the Copilot is very tedious, right? So that's why we also have this feature called explain math and table. So what you can do is you can ask it to, let's say, click on this and select a particular graph here, uh, and then it is going to automatically add that graph here in the chat, and it is going to give an explanation of what this particular text means, right? So it also saves you a lot of time, like there is no easy way to type in and ask it specifically to explain this particular table, right? So yeah, so you saw, right, it can explain the various images as well, right? So this makes it very helpful when you're dealing with a paper which has a lot of data in present in it, right? And understanding data is one of the most important use cases for a researcher. So yeah, even for this, it gave me exactly like what is it referencing. So there might be statements before this figure and after this figure, which might be explaining this. It is able to surface what those exact statements are, right? Which are supporting this particular answer. Okay. So we saw two ways. One is like I can chat here and I can use the explain math and table. So there is a third way as well, right? So let's say you are reading a particular statement here, which is quite difficult to understand because there is a lot of jargon here. So what you can do is you can select a particular statement, uh, and this options will open up. So let's say you want explanation of this text, summarization of this text. You can get related papers to this particular statement as well, or you can just highlight it. So let's say I'll click on explain this text. It is going to add this particular context to the Copilot. It is going to ask tell you the explanation of this text, right? So this whole interface makes it very easy, to understand a particular research paper that you are interested in, right? So you can upload the PDF and start using it uh, to gain more understanding, right? Then at the top of this paper, right, we also have an option to create the summary or the podcast, right? So as we saw earlier, it can create a podcast of this full PDF, which you can listen or you can download on the go. And the second option is that you can create a textual summary of this paper as well. So let's say whenever you land on this page, you, instead of going through the whole PDF file, you can first read through the summary of this paper, and this is going to be a quite detailed summary as compared to what we saw in the library, right, which creates just a single one paragraph TLDR for you. Instead of that, this goes in more depth and it creates a section-wise summary of the paper. So what is the summary of the abstract, the background, and whatever is discussed in this paper, right? So you can go through each one of these points and get a little more deeper understanding than what we saw here, right, in the library where only the TLDR uh, was there, right? So yeah, so this is how you can use Copilot to understand a single PDF paper or multiple PDFs in one go, right? So Copilot simplifies that whole process for you. Yeah. And then we'll move to the third tool, which is nothing but the AI writer, right? So ultimately, like once we, figure out like various papers that are there, we have, understood all of these papers and we have formed our own research question and we have conducted our own experiments, right? Last step is to, write a document, right, which we are ultimately going to publish. And this is where the very, very useful AI writer comes into the picture. So we'll jump into AI writer and how it can help you write various documents, right? Uh, so before we jump there, right, there is one more thing that I wanted to point out, which is that you can, you came across like various insights or various papers that were very useful for you, right? And you felt that, okay, this is something that is very useful for me. I should be saving this somewhere. And as a student, or even through our student life, we have the habit of creating various notes, right? And organizing those notes. And these organization of the notes ultimately is what feeds into the ultimate creation of the document that we always tend towards, right? So let's say I'm in my library, right? So everywhere, whenever the AI is going to generate an insight for you, right, or provide an answer to you, it is going to show a button called as Save to Notebook. So Notebook is nothing but the AI writer, where what you can do is, let's say I want to save the conclusions of this paper to a particular notebook, right? What I can do is I can just click on Save to Notebook, and it is going to open up a notebook here, which I have recently used, and save the conclusions from this paper to the notebook. So it created a conclusions section here and it added these 4 points here. Now, what it also does is that these conclusions have come from this particular paper, right? And at the end of this uh, section, it is going to add the reference here as well. So you don't have to go and copy paste the reference and maintain it like where exactly is this conclusion coming from. It is going to automatically add those references here at the bottom. So this makes it very easy to organize your notes. As and when you come across various insights on SciSpace, you can click on Save to Notebook button, and it is going to automatically add that note to your particular working notebook and also save the reference for you, so that you don't have to again, you know, put in effort writing like where did you capture this note from. It is very easy to go back and see like which paper did this particular note come from, right? For example, we when we were chatting with the Copilot here as well, right? Here as well, we can see that I have a save to notebook button. And when I click on this, it is going to open up the recently opened up notebook and it is going to save this answer for me. So the long-term effects of polystyrene, micro and nanoplastics, it is going to save this particular answer for me. So here I can see that it added citations for me and it saved in this particular notebook, right? So across SciSpace, whenever you get an answer, this save to notebook button comes in very handy to organize your notes. Okay, so I have this in my SciSpace. So one is that whenever I'm saving my notes, my notebook is getting created, right? But what if I want to start fresh, right? I want to start a new notebook. I have the content in mind, and I want to use AIs to help me build on a particular topic, right? So we'll go through a workflow where we are starting afresh and creating a new notebook, right? So I'll go to this AI writer page, and this is where I have various ways in which I can start writing a document, right? So one option is that I can directly start writing, or I can choose a template here. So let's say I want to create a research proposal, I want to write a literature review, I want to do an abstract writing, a thesis statement, or essay writing. So for each one of these, we have like various templates that are here, so that it makes it easier to get started with a particular thing, right? So you don't have to think like what should be the outline and how should I organize my document, right? So let's say I am starting with a particular literature review, right? What I can do is I can just click on start writing, and it is going to open up a new window for me where it asks me like what am I writing about today, right? So let's say I ask it to write literature review on nanoplastics impact on human life, and I click on generate. So when I click on generate, what it is going to do is that since I have mentioned that I want a literature review, it is going to generate an outline for this document, uh, especially for literature review, right? So that it is very easy for me to get started and start my ideas flowing, right? So a lot of time it is a writer's block that comes in, where we know that we have read so many papers, we have read so many documents, we have done a lot of searches, but it becomes very hard sometimes to get even started, right? So that is where the template and the outline comes in and helps us, right? So what it can do is it can generate an outline for you so that it becomes easy, to organize our thoughts. Okay, these are the various sections that we have generated. I can go ahead and read all of these sections, and this is the starting point for me. Now I can start filling in contents for all of these sections, right? Basis on the understanding that I have gained, or the data that I have collected, or the experiments that I have done, or the literature that I have surveyed, right? So I can also go ahead and like edit these sections if I don't like it, right? So that is always a possibility with the AI writer, right? Next, what happens is that I want to write the definition and characteristics of nanoplastic, right? So in this case, one is that I already have a note written which tells me like what should be the definition that I should write here, right? Another is that AI writer has an autocomplete feature. So what it can do is it will understand what is the document that you're writing, which section are you writing, and then suggest uh, things that you can write in this particular section. So for this case, it has already started suggesting me, okay, this is the definition for nanoplastics. I can just click on tab, and what it is going to do is it will populate uh, you know, the section for me. And already it has started suggesting me more things that I can write here. So let's say if I like this particular thing, what it has written here, I can just go ahead and like click on tab. If I click anywhere else, the autocomplete is just going to go away and I can continue typing what I want. Click on tab here and it is good. Also, what you notice here is the autocomplete is going to suggest statements not from its own knowledge but from real papers that are there, right? So this is something that sets SciSpace apart, right? Which I mentioned earlier as well, and this is something that we strive to do at SciSpace, is where you get every answer citation backed. So even when the AI is auto completing something, it is going to auto complete it from particular paper, right? Which is a real paper. So it suggested this statement to me and also cited this particular paper. And this is the paper which is there in my library, which I have added in my library. So you see, what I did is that I searched papers on a particular topic. I've saved those papers in my library because I felt that okay, this is the particular paper which is relevant to my topic. And now when I have come to the AI writer and I'm building my document, it understands that okay, these are the papers that I am interested in, I have shared in my library, and I should be auto completing or filling up this section using those papers. So the AI is quite intelligent to fetch the content which is saved in my library and start populating in the document here, right? And it also provides me locating PDF as well. So for example, it said that okay, this is the particular statement and this is the PDF which supports this particular statement. What it also does is it tells me like this is the uh, statement in this PDF which supports what it has said. If I don't even trust this, I can click on locate in PDF and it will take me to the PDF, open up that particular section in the PDF which supports the statement that it has generated. So the verifiability and the trust is very high. It's very easy to verify what the AI is saying, right? So all the users which use SciSpace, right, uh, they deeply appreciate what the AI is able to do for them, and they're quickly able to build the trust as well, right? So that we are not writing something, and ultimately this is something that we are going to publish it somewhere, right? Or we are going to hand it over to someone, and our reputation relies on the fact that we are quoting something and it should be authentic. Okay, we should not be giving away something which is superficial and which is not backed by real research, right? So SciSpace takes that very seriously, and you will find that even the AI writer, it goes to an extent where it will generate a citation for you. Okay, other than that, when you're writing something, let's say I want to rephrase what is written here, right? I'll pick a simple sentence here, and I want to ask the AI to make it longer. Okay, this is a very short uh, statement about this particular topic, and I wanted to add more data to this and make it longer, right? So that it is more explainable and easy to understand, right? So I can just click on make it longer, and the AI is going to work and create a more extensive statement of this statement, right, which is easier to understand and which is more nuanced. So what I can do is I can just replace this section and I have a detailed output, right? There are various other AI actions that you can take, right? You can ask it to paraphrase it, make it more friendly, casual, or academic. If you have written something which you have typed on your own and you want to make it more academic, right, you can ask AI to just paraphrase it. You can simplify it, you can translate it, or you can even fix your grammar, right? You can ask it to write opposing arguments, write in more depth. So all of these things the AI can do for you. Then uh, the AI writer doesn't just stop at this, right? So what it can also do is, let's say you have read something and you have organized your notes, right, somewhere else outside SciSpace. At least in SciSpace, whenever you are organizing it notes, it keeps track of the citation as to from where is this statement come from, right? But a lot of times I have seen the researchers, during the research journey over the years, they would have like mentioned particular statement, or they have like written a particular statement in their notes, but they would have forgotten like from where has this statement come from, right? And it becomes then a tedious job to figure out like where has this statement come from. Or a lot of people get a feedback from their supervisors that okay, you have written all of these things, but you have not added enough citations to back what you have said in the uh, section, right, in your paper. So let's say this statement is something that I have written, or I have organized in some of my notes outside SciSpace, and I copy pasted it here, right? Now I want to add a citation for this particular statement, right? What I can do is I can click on cite button here. On the basis of this particular statement, it is going to suggest me out of the corpus of like 200 million plus papers, which paper is most relevant to this particular statement. So it is going to organize the papers by the most relevant paper, right? So maybe like I remember for a fact that, oh, okay, This is the paper which I had read and have familiarity with. This is the paper which discuss this, and I can cite this. What I can also do is, if there are papers in my library which I know, like that, let's say I have uploaded 500 papers and some paper in my library supports this particular statement, I can just click on my library. I don't want any other additional citations. I want citations only from my library. I can click on my library as a filter and then select a paper from my library. Or if I don't remember, like it is there in my library something else, I can just use SciSpace papers, search in the corpus of like 250 million papers, and then cite one of those papers. So this helps me, build or write with citations, right? So let's say I can add one more paper here. Let's say I cite this paper by Lai, right? Is going to add a citation for them. So this citation is present here, and also at the end of the references sections it is going to automatically add this paper as a reference. So you just keep on citing wherever you want, and the SciSpace AI writer is going to keep on organizing the references at the bottom, right? Also, various journals that you submit or various places that you submit your documents, right? There is a specific requirement that you write your references or citations in a particular format, right? So it is very easy to switch on SciSpace. You don't have to go ahead and like change each one of the references, right? You can just click on the citation style, change it from APA to let's say IEEE. And what it is going to do is it is going to change your whole references section to IEEE. So that way, AI writer makes it very easy for anybody to work with, make the writing process very simple. You can export this as docs, and maybe you want to continue it somewhere else, you can do that. There is no compulsion that you have to keep on working on the SciSpace AI writer as well, right? Whenever you feel, you can come back, start working here, or take it somewhere else, right? So yeah, so that is what is possible with the AI writer, right? Now, we have also talked about the SciSpace library, right? Which uh, which is where you could collaborate, right? And we discussed that the papers that you upload uh, are the ones which you can share with your fellow researchers, right, or fellow colleagues, and you can collaborate on those papers. So there is something that is possible with the notebook as well. So let's say you and your colleagues are working on a particular document and you want to collaborate on a particular document. What you can simply do is you can create a document in your library. Let's say I go to my library, and in my shared libraries in the folder, I have created a document called review on nanoplastics. So this is shared with my another account. I'll just open this. So I have added some content here, and here is my another account. I'll open the same document here, and I added some content here, right? So let's say I add an exclamation mark here. So this exclamation mark will appear here as well. So there is a live collaboration that I can do with my fellow researchers, right? It is also going to show me like who is the other researcher who is now typing with me. So you must have tried Google Docs, where you can create a document and like collaborate with your fellow researchers or colleagues at your university. Same thing is possible with SciSpace AI Notebook or the AI Writer, where you can collaborate on one single document with multiple colleagues, right? And the power of citations is already built in on AI Writer, so anybody can come and like make changes to the document that you're creating, right? So yeah, this finishes the overview of the tools which are the most popular on SciSpace, which is chat with PDF, literature review, and AI Writer. Yeah. So we'll jump to the agent, and we'll discuss more on the agent part. So agent is something that we have recently launched this year. It hasn't been even 2 months, but it has been getting a lot of love from all the researchers now. And this is now our main product that we display on our homepage, right? So what we have seen till now is that there are various tools that are available where you can go on individually, do your literature review. Let's say go to the literature review tool. It helps you do literature review. You go to the chat with PDF. It helps you understand PDFs. You go to the AI writer. You write a document, right? But what the AI agent, which truly is an AI assistant, right? It can help you complete end-to-end tasks without even switching various tools, right? So there is a lot of things that even during like in the past 1 hour when I was trying to trying to get to the document that I was finally writing, I had to spend a lot of time in various tools that are there, right? And then finally write a document, right? And for each of these documents I had to learn like, okay, here is this functionality, that functionality, and a lot of different functionalities specific to those tools, right? Which helped me achieve my final goal, right? So but AI agent is a very easy to use assistant which can help you just with a natural language command, right? To accomplish your task. Okay, so I'll take you through some of the use cases as to like how the AI agent does it versus how we have seen various tools doing it, right? So we'll start with a basic use case of search, right? So we saw that what the literature review tool does is that when you give it a query, it will search on the SciSpace's 250 million plus papers and surface all of those papers for you, right? What the AI agent does, it goes one step ahead beyond like what the SciSpace literature review does, and instead of just giving you papers from SciSpace, so for example, it gave 100 papers there, it gave 100 papers here as well, right? So this is same, but what it can do is it can go to Google Scholar and PubMed as well. So for this particular query, it thought that it is very intelligent in that way, where it knows like for which query should I go to which databases, right? So it thought that I should go to Google Scholar as well, and I should search on PubMed as well, because this is query where it is highly likely that I'll find relevant papers on PubMed as well, right? So also it knows that on PubMed or on Google Scholar, in which way should I search so that I will get the most relevant papers, right? So for example, it knows that on Google and PubMed, it is a keyword based search, right? So it will transform your query into various keywords and then search on PubMed or Google Scholar and then surface the papers for you. And even these papers, if you see that are surfaced from Google Scholar and PubMed Advanced, are also shown to you in a table format, which we saw earlier, right? So this is something which is tremendous, right? So uh, you can yourself go to Google Scholar, run this query, but the output that it presents is something which cannot be matched with what SciSpace does, right? So for example, you also have the same option which you get on SciSpace database, right? Where you can add all of these columns and get an understanding on these papers as well, which are found on Google Scholar and PubMed as well. Okay, so the agent goes one step ahead in search. So for this particular query, it selected Google Scholar and PubMed. Other than this, it can also do web search and also do searches on archive. So for a lot of fields, let's say for example, artificial intelligence, the preprints are something which is something that researchers are interested in, right? Because the field is moving so fast, people want to get papers from archive as well. So the agent can also call archive and get papers and present you in the same format to consume, right? So this is the power of the agent when you are using it for a search, right? And similarly, using all of these papers, right, which it found from SciSpace, Google Scholar, and PubMed, it is going to answer a query. So it is going to create a literally a mini report for you as to what is the answer to this question. So what is the impact of like nanoplastics on human gut, right? So it is going to write again a citation backed answer for you, and it is going to mention like which are the papers that it used to write this particular answer, right? So it is dynamically going to select the most relevant papers from the search, and it is going to write an answer for you. Okay, and similarly what we saw on search, The same thing is possible here as well, where you can add a column. So I have added a column called conclusions. So I can go to add columns and click on conclusions. It is going to add a conclusions column. So for each one of these papers, it is going to tell me what is the conclusion. And that is what it has done. Add a column with name conclusions. So it is going to add a column called conclusions. So it becomes easy to glance through all of these papers which are surfaced on from SciSpace database, right? I can do the same thing for uh, Google Scholar and PubMed as well, right? Then moving on to what we saw on literature review, right? We saw that there is a powerful deep review model which surfaces more than 1,000 papers, right? So same thing we can do here as well. So I run this another query here, where while running this query, I have selected this deep search option here. I can select this and then type in my query. It is going to use the deep search model. And it is going to surface more than 1,000 papers. So similar to what we saw earlier, it is going to ask me clarifying questions. And based on my clarifying questions, it is going to run this deep search. And then it is going to find 200 papers, 24 papers, depending on whatever my query is. It is going to compile more and more papers for me. And then it is not just going to stop there, it is still going to use PubMed, Google Scholar, and then finally give me a output. So agent goes a step beyond like what is possible in literature review and give you more papers out of it. And you also get the same output that you saw earlier, right? Where it is presented you in a table format. So this is the literature review part that can be done in an agent, right? Then the next part is, let's say we struggled, to get gray literature, right? So there might be things which are not present and not easily visible, or could be relevant for our understanding, right? So what I have specifically asked the agent is to find gray literature on this particular topic, right? So instead of just searching SciSpace or PubMed, it can literally do a web search as well. So it can, just like how we humans go and type in our query on various web search databases, right? Like Google or Bing, it can go ahead and for your particular query, it can input the correct keywords on Google Scholar or Bing and surface like what are the results there. So this way you don't miss out on like literature which is not present in these databases but could have been found while doing a web search as well, right? So it also went ahead and searched the government grants database as well to figure out if there are any grants which are related to this particular topic, right? So it can go a step even further than the traditional database searches and figure out if there is any gray literature that is available for this topic, right? So that if there is very little literature that is available, you can go ahead and search the gray literature as well and add it to the database of like whatever you are reading, right? Okay. Then coming to the next topic, right? So what we saw in the Copilot was that if you had a query on multiple papers, right? We could select multiple papers and then ask a Copilot query, right? So agent is also able to do that. So what the agent can do is here I have uploaded like 10 papers regarding the topic and I asked it to provide a summary on these papers. What do they say about the impact of nanoplastics, right? So then what the agent internally does is that it understands that, okay, Copilot is a tool that is available for me. I will ask Copilot individually for each of these papers. I'll pass the first paper. I'll ask it to give me a response. I'll and then it will do the same thing for each one of these 10 papers and then write a final summary, right? So as a individual, what I would have done is, if I had to do it manually, I would have gone to Copilot. I would have asked it a summary of first, second, third, fourth, fifth, like this for 10. And then maybe I would be able to do a comprehensive summary of like all the papers, right? So instead, the agent understands how to orchestrate each one of these tools, right? So whatever tools are at its disposal, it is able to figure out, okay, this is the tool that I should use to understand this paper and then write a summary. So it is very intelligent in that way, as to depending on what you are asking, which tool should be called to complete the task, right? So it asked Copilot 10 times with 10 different files, and it wrote a file for you, which is a summary of like impact of nanoplastics on human health, right? So yeah, and then show you one more use case, which is writing a LaTeX manuscript, right? So this especially is a task which requires a researcher to spend their time uh, doing literature reviews, finding papers, then organizing those papers, then understanding what is written in those papers, taking notes out of them, and then using the complex, whatever LaTeX software you have been using, to use that and compile those notes there, organize it, and then finally create a LaTeX document, right? But the SciSpace AI agent is able to simplify all of these steps, and then come up with a LaTeX document as well, right? So we'll just go through like what it has done for this particular command, right? So when I asked it to find research papers on this topic and write a LaTeX manuscript, it was able to figure out that, okay, I need to do first searches. It did searches on particular databases which are relevant for this particular topic. It extracted insights from all of these papers, like what is written in these papers. So this is a summary of what is written in these papers. And then it started creating a LaTeX manuscript. So it created a .tx file, if you're familiar with it, for each one of the sections that it wants to write in the LaTeX report, right? So it created a main abstract. So each one of these have their individual files, right? And then it created the final PDF. So it will tell you, okay, I completed all of this, and it generated this whole PDF. So this PDF is 33 pages long with proper formatting. So this is something which is not possible with any of the AI tools out there, right? And this is really the power of the AI agent, where it is able to figure out which tools should be used at what point in time to deliver the output that the user required, right? So it created this whole document of 33 pages, and if you want, you can go ahead and like ask it to format. Let's say you want it to be in an IEEE format. You can just tell it that, okay, reformat this whole LaTeX document into an IEEE format. The agent will be able to maintain the context. It will able to rephrase the whole thing that is present in this PDF, rewrite the file in the IEEE format for you. So it is very easy to, maintain the context. Like, let's say you are done something at the top, the agent will know whatever you have done, and you can keep on giving it commands on top of it, right? So it is very easy to just type in English, tell it what you want to do, and it will start doing it. Or let's say if you prefer to download this .tx file, right, and you want to, let's say, import into Overleaf or some other LaTeX software that you use, right, you can also do that. You can download all the files here which the agent has generated and upload it somewhere else and start continuing editing it there as well. So that way the agent is quite powerful in that way, right, where it is able to do a very complex long running task, which would have taken like days at least for a human to do, right? Then there is one more use case which I really love, like how the agent is able to do it, is the systematic literature review, right? So I asked it to do a systematic literature review on this topic, right? So the agent understands that this is a very complex topic and it requires a plan that it should create, which should follow a certain plan and which will help it to achieve a particular goal, right? So it first created a todo.md. So this is the to-do file. So it understands that to do a systematic literature review, I should have the inclusion exclusion criteria. It should ask me as the user whether I approve this inclusion exclusion criteria, only if I approve is when it should go to the next step. So that's why it added this store user verification request step here. Then it should perform the searches across multiple databases. So it used all the database that it has. It used SciSpace Deep Search, it used Basic Search, PubMed, PubMed Advanced, Google Search, Archive, so that it doesn't miss out on any one of these databases while figuring out if the paper is present or not. Then it thought that it should do the title and abstract screening. Then it should download the full text for these databases, like for PubMed, Google, and Archive. If there are full text available, it should first download those as well. Then it should do full text screening, remove the duplicate papers, extract insights, and then write a Prisma compliant report, right? So for each one of it has mentioned that what sections should be included in the Prisma report, and it has completed that. So if you see on the left here, so you see a log of like what it has written, right? So the agent is very transparent as to what it is doing. It is going to tell you upfront as to what plan it is going to create. So for each one of these plans, when it is executing, you can verify like what it is doing, right? Exactly. So we at SciSpace believe that even as a researcher, right, when you are using any of these AI tools, right, it should be very easy for you to verify whether the whatever AI is doing is correct or not, right? So if you feel something is going wrong, you can directly step in and correct it as well, right? So we make it very easy to verify everything, just like how we did with the citations here. With the agent as well, we make it easy to verify what the agent is doing so that you can follow through what is being done, right? So it in this case it wrote the inclusion criteria file, it wrote the exclusion criteria file, then it kicked in the searches, so it did the deep review, SciSpace, PubMed, everything. Then it will keep on updating the to do as well. As soon as it completes something, it will update the to do that I have completed something like this. Then it did the column screening. So this is where like when I was referring to Dave's question earlier, right? How as a human I can use the custom column, right? Here the agent is using the custom column to complete its task. So to do a screening criteria, what it did is that it knows that I can add a custom column in these tables. So it came and added a custom column. So it understands the capability of the table. Okay, there is a custom column feature that is available. I can use it to complete this SLR. So it added a custom column called screening decision, where it told that okay, this is the exclusion inclusion criteria. Tell me whether it should be included or excluded. So it is leveraging the table feature to figure out like which papers should be included or excluded. So very smart that way to include all of these things here, right? Okay, then it downloaded the full text for Google Scholar. So I can see in the files there is a Google Scholar PDFs as well. So it downloaded all this. It figured out like on the web where are all of these PDFs available, where it can download all these PDFs. Is whatever is available, it was able to download. So whatever is open access, it will go to those. Figure out like where this PDF is available. It will download it for you. Then it wrote the Prisma systematic review report for this particular review, and it gave you a set of output files. So you have the inclusion exclusion criteria, you have the search methodology, you have the systematic review, you have the Prisma compliant report, right? So all of these things it is able to do. So this is just a glimpse at like what the agent can do, right? And what all tasks it can generate. So there is no limit to what you can ask the agent to do, right? So you already know that it can search paper, it can understand papers, it can write papers for you, right? It doesn't just stop at this part, right? Like for example, if you have written a paper, right, and you are going to publish, or you have a poster presentation that is coming up, right? You can upload a your paper PDF, give it to the agent and ask it to generate a poster as well, right? It will give you a very good first draft. You will have to do like minimum edits as to whatever tweaks that you want to do, and it will be ready to publish as a poster, and you can show it in whichever place you are presenting the poster, right? Or let's say there is a document, right? Or maybe as a uh, researcher, you have to explain whatever research you have done and you want a presentation for that, right? the agent can do that as well. You can upload your research paper, you can ask it to convert the research paper into a PowerPoint presentation. It will understand what research paper you have uploaded, it will go through the whole research paper and then create a PowerPoint presentation for you. So there is no limit to what it can do. It can, and also like so just to give an idea of like what it can do, it can also create a website for you. So let's say there is some data that you have and you want to create a website which you want to share it with anybody else. So it is not very easy to share documents and all, right? So you can just ask it to create a website. It will create a website for you. You can share the website link to your colleagues, or you can publish on your social media as well. So yeah, I think that is this should give you an idea of like what the agent is able to do, right? So there is no limit to what it can do, right? So it's just limited by our imagination as to what we ask it to do, right? uh, I think this I have taken a lot of time to give you an overview of SciSpace and the SciSpace agent. I hope it is truly useful for you, so that you can it helps you in your research journey and get you whatever goal you are trying to achieve. Yeah, thank you.